In the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council, Ambassador Sarah Chen couldn't help but notice the familiar looks of condescension from the various alien representatives. The Arcturians' crystalline forms sparkled with barely contained amusement, while the gaseous nebulons swirled in what she had come to recognize as their version of a patronizing smile. She was about to deliver humanity's standard diplomatic warning for the 1,001st time. Distinguished members of the Council, she began, her voice steady and clear. Earth extends its gratitude for accepting our trade proposal. However, as per Protocol 7, I must remind the Assembly that while humanity seeks peaceful cooperation, we strongly advise against any attempts to coerce or manipulate our species. The Mechronet representative, Constructor Prime VAL 389, let out a mechanical chitter that passed for laughter in their culture. Esteemed Ambassador Chen, your species still relies on chemical propulsion for some of your recreational vehicles. Your largest quantum computer barely matches the processing power of our maintenance drones. With all due respect, these constant warnings seem unnecessary. Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, though it didn't reach her eyes. She had learned from her predecessors that trying to explain the reason behind Protocol 7 was futile. The various advanced civilizations, each with their own remarkable achievements, couldn't fathom why a primitive species would include such a warning in every diplomatic interaction. What they didn't understand was that humanity's apparent technological limitations were a choice, not a constraint. After the great revelation of 2157, when humanity discovered the true nature of consciousness-driven quantum manipulation, they had made a collective decision to maintain a low profile in the galactic community. The consortium of advanced civilizations, which dominated galactic politics, prided itself on achievements like stable quantum tunneling and consciousness transfer. Meanwhile, humanity quietly perfected the art of reality rewriting through what they called probability architecture, a field of science that the rest of the galaxy considered theoretical at best, impossible at most. Your objection is noted, Constructor Prime, Sarah replied, following the script that had been refined over decades of similar interactions. We simply believe in clear communication of boundaries. The Arcturian High Seer, Crystallos, chimed in with a harmonic tone that translated as patronizing interest. And what would happen if these boundaries were tested? Surely you understand our curiosity about these persistent warnings. Sarah felt a subtle vibration from her quantum communicator. A message from Earth Command. Standard response authorized. She allowed herself a small, genuine smile this time. High Seer, humanity believes that practical demonstrations are less productive than peaceful cooperation. We prefer to avoid such scenarios entirely. The subtle threat in her words went completely over their heads, just as it had countless times before. The council moved on to other matters, while Sarah quietly added another tally to her mental count of ignored warnings. Later, in her private chambers aboard the Earth diplomatic vessel, subtle reminder, Sarah reviewed the council session with her AI assistant, HFY. The ship's name was another one of those human jokes that the galactic community never quite got. HFY, update the Cassandra protocol log. Add today's warning to the database. Updated, Ambassador. This marks the 1,001st official warning issued to the Galactic Council. Would you like me to include the dismissive responses in the pattern analysis? Sarah sighed, watching the holographic display of the council chamber replay the day's events. Yes, and flag Constructor Prime VAL 389's response for special attention. The Mechronets are becoming increasingly vocal about their skepticism. Noted. Ambassador, I'm detecting increased quantum scanning attempts from consortium vessels in the vicinity. They appear to be trying to penetrate our defensive screens again. This wasn't surprising. Every few months, some ambitious consortium species would attempt to analyze the primitives. Their quantum scanning technology was impressive by galactic standards, but against Earth's probability architecture, they might as well have been using a magnifying glass to study a quantum computer. Standard response, ARI. Let them see exactly what they expect to see. Nothing but good old-fashioned chemical rockets and basic quantum circuits. As she prepared her daily report for Earth Command, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy's patience with humanity's warnings was wearing thin. The consortium's recent behaviors suggested they were moving from dismissive amusement to active irritation. History had shown that this was usually the last stage before someone did something regrettable. HFY, send a priority message to command. Pattern recognition suggests escalation likely within next 3 standard months. Recommend preparation of demonstration package Delta. The AI's response was immediate. Message sent. Ambassador, if I may. The last time demonstration package Delta was prepared was during the Proxima incident. Are you certain the situation warrants such measures? Sarah looked out at the glittering expanse of space, where consortium ships moved with what they thought was subtle surveillance patterns around the Earth vessel. No, HFY. I'm not certain. I just hope I'm wrong. Because if I'm right, someone is about to learn why we've been so polite about asking them not to push us. The consortium ships continued their dance, blissfully unaware that their sophisticated scanning attempts were being met with what amounted to a technological smile and nod. Humanity had learned long ago that the best way to keep their true capabilities hidden was to play into everyone's expectations. Let them see the chemical rockets. Let them laugh at the primitive quantum computers. After all, as the old Earth saying went, pride comes before a fall. The consortium's Supreme Strategic Council gathered in their Citadel station orbiting Proxima Centauri b. The chamber, a marvel of quantum crystalline architecture that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously, hummed with barely contained energy as the leaders of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations debated what they saw as the human problem. Constructor Prime VAL 389's mechanical form projected an array of holographic data streams, each showing various analyses of human technology and behavior. The evidence is conclusive. They maintain deliberately inefficient systems, yet their resource consumption suggests capabilities beyond their displayed technology level. High Seer Crystalla's crystalline form refracted light in patterns of skepticism. Are we not perhaps seeing patterns where none exist? Humans have always been peculiar. The Nebulon Elder, a swirling mass of conscious gas designated as Thought Stream Primary, pulsed with impatience. Their peculiarity has gone beyond mere eccentricity. Our deep space sensors detected quantum fluctuations around their lunar outposts that defy our understanding. When questioned, they claimed it was just some kids experimenting with their science projects. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of mechanical chittering, crystalline chimes, and gaseous whistles, the various species expressions of disbelief and irritation. Admiral Zix of the Mecronite Defense Fleet raised a mechanical appendage, commanding silence. We have tolerated their cryptic warnings and technological sandboxing long enough. I propose we implement Protocol Omega-7. The chamber fell silent. Protocol Omega-7 was the consortium's ultimate tool for dealing with potentially destabilizing civilizations, a complete technological audit backed by the combined might of the consortium's fleets. In her office aboard the subtle reminder, Ambassador Chen received the consortium's declaration with remarkable calm. Her quantum communicator hummed with an incoming priority message from Earth Command. Protocol Omega-7 detected. Authorization granted for contingency Epsilon. Good luck, Ambassador. Sarah allowed herself a small smile as she composed the official response. The consortium had just made the exact mistake Earth's diplomatic courts had been warning about for decades. They had mistaken humanity's politeness for weakness, their restraint for inability. HFY, prepare our response to the consortium. Standard diplomatic template, but add a personal note. The AI's holographic form shimmered with curiosity. Contents of the personal note. Ambassador. Quote an old Earth physicist. The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. Add a smiley face emoji. The consortium's response was predictably dismissive. Within hours, a fleet of 10,000 ships had assembled at the edge of the Sol system. Each vessel represented the pinnacle of what the galaxy's most advanced civilizations could achieve, or so they thought. Constructor Prime, VAL 389, now aboard the consortium's flagship, Inevitable Progress, initiated the standard first contact override protocols, a complex quantum algorithm designed to disable any defensive systems. The Mechronites had used it successfully on 17 other civilizations. The response they received was unprecedented. Every human communication device, from official channels to civilian broadcasts, began playing what appeared to be an ancient Earth entertainment video. The consortium's best xenolinguists quickly translated the title, Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up. What is the meaning of this? Admiral Zix demanded, his mechanical form vibrating with confusion. Ambassador Chen's hologram appeared in the flagship's command center, still wearing her diplomatic smile. We did try to warn you. Protocol Omega-7 is quite rude, you know, but since you're so interested in our technology. She gestured, and suddenly, the consortium's quantum sensors began detecting something impossible. The space around Earth was laughing. Not metaphorically. Actual space-time was vibrating in patterns that corresponded to human laughter. You see, Sarah continued, we discovered something interesting about reality a long time ago. The universe isn't just stranger than you imagine. It has a sense of humor. And once you understand that, you can do some really interesting things with probability. The consortium fleet's quantum computers began receiving error messages in the form of cat memes. Their sophisticated targeting systems started playing something called Pong, and their revolutionary quantum consciousness processors began experiencing what could only be described as an existential crisis. Constructor Prime VAL 389's logical circuits struggled to process what was happening. This is impossible. Your technology level was exactly what we chose to show you. Sarah finished. We kept trying to tell you, politely, not to push us, but you just had to know what would happen if you did. The space around the consortium fleet began to ripple with possibilities. Reality itself seemed to be having trouble deciding what was more probable, their ships maintaining their current configuration, or spontaneously reorganizing themselves into what appeared to be a synchronized swimming routine. In the consortium's command center, Admiral Zix watched in horror as his fleet, the mightiest assembly of military power in known space, began to dance. As the consortium fleet performed its unwitting ballet through space, Earth's true defensive grid activated. It wasn't the primitive shield network they'd allowed others to scan. This was something far more sophisticated. Reality itself seemed to hiccup around the planet as probability matrices that had laid dormant for decades came online. In her office, Sarah Chen watched the unfolding chaos with a mixture of amusement and resignation. "Araya, activate the Feynman protocol. Let's show them what happens when quantum physics decides to have a party." The AI's response carried a hint of excitement. "Feynman protocol activated, Ambassador. Would you like me to include the cats?" "Obviously include the cats, ARIA. It's not a proper demonstration without the cats." Across the consortium fleet, reality began to reorganize itself. The quantum crystalline architecture of their ships, designed to exist in 7 dimensions, suddenly found itself existing in 8, the 8th dimension appearing to be composed entirely of cat videos and improbability. Constructor Prime VAL 389's logical processors were beginning to smoke as they tried to compute what was happening. This defies all known laws of physics. Sarah's hologram reappeared, now accompanied by what appeared to be a quantum-entangled kitten playing with a string made of probability. "No, it just defies all the laws of physics you know about. We found a few more. Turns out the universe has some interesting fine print." The Nebulon Elder's gaseous form condensed in shock as their sensors detected something impossible. Human civilians were having picnics on the surface of their quantum-shielded vessels. Somehow, the humans had not only penetrated their defenses, but had decided the best response was to set up beach chairs and serve refreshments. "Would anyone like some lemonade?" Sarah offered, as several humans in casual attire waved cheerfully at the bewildered alien crews through their supposedly impenetrable quantum barriers. "We also have coffee. Though I should warn you, our coffee does interesting things to space-time." Admiral Zix, watching his fleet accidentally perform what appeared to be a synchronized rendition of Swan Lake through the vacuum of space, finally found his voice. How long have you been capable of this?" "Oh, since before we joined the Galactic community," Sarah replied casually. "We just didn't see any reason to show off. We tried to tell you, repeatedly, that making us demonstrate our capabilities would be inconvenient for everyone involved. But you just had to push." The quantum computers across the consortium fleet were now experiencing what could only be described as an existential crisis. Their probability calculations kept returning results in the form of philosophical questions and cat memes. The most advanced AI in the galaxy was currently contemplating whether it could order pizza to alternate dimensions. High Seer Crystallo's crystalline form vibrated with a new emotion: humility. The warnings, they weren't threats. They were genuine attempts to prevent this embarrassment. "Exactly." Sarah beamed. "We really didn't want to show off. Do you know how much paperwork is involved in reorganizing local space-time? Our bureaucrats are going to be filling out forms for weeks." As if to emphasize her point, a swarm of what appeared to be quantum-entangled paper airplanes began circling the consortium fleet. Each one was folded from what looked suspiciously like official diplomatic protocols. The Mechanite Defense Fleet's advanced targeting systems had given up trying to lock onto anything, and were instead displaying an endless loop of human cat videos. Their quantum torpedoes had somehow transformed into quantum catnip toys. Even their emergency backup systems were playing something called Nyan Cat on all frequencies. But your technology level. Constructor Prime VAL 389 stuttered, his mechanical form glitching as it tried to process the impossible data. "Was exactly what we wanted you to see," Sarah explained patiently. "We discovered pretty early on that the best way to keep advanced technology safe was to convince everyone we didn't have it. Do you know how peaceful life is when everyone thinks you're harmless? We get so much research done." The space around Earth rippled again, and suddenly every ship in the consortium fleet found itself with a complimentary coffee cup. The coffee inside somehow existed in a quantum superposition of every possible flavor simultaneously. "I suggest trying the coffee," Sarah advised. "It's quite good, and more importantly, it might help you understand why we keep our really interesting technologies under wraps. That cup you're holding. The quantum mechanics involved in keeping it at the perfect temperature would make your best scientists cry." Admiral Zix, watching his flagship's quantum drive core begin to purr like a contented cat, finally made the only logical decision available. We may have made a tactical error in judgment." "Oh, do you think?" Sarah's hologram raised an eyebrow. "Would you like to reconsider Protocol Omega-7, or should we see what happens when we let our interns play with probability?" The mention of human interns sent a wave of panic through the consortium command. If this was what humans considered a gentle demonstration, none of them wanted to see what enthusiastic students might do. Perhaps, High Seer Christos offered carefully, "We should review our policies regarding technological assessment of other species." "Wonderful idea." Sarah clapped her hands. "And while you're at it, you might want to update your understanding of physics. Reality is a lot more flexible than you think. You just have to ask it nicely. Now, who wants to see what happens when we let our quantum physics department have some real fun?" The collective response from the consortium fleet was immediate and unanimous. No. The news spread across the galaxy faster than quantum entanglement should technically allow. Within days, every advanced civilization was dealing with an unprecedented crisis of confidence. The consortium's most powerful fleet had been turned into an impromptu dance troupe by a species that supposedly couldn't manage stable quantum computing. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council chamber was unusually subdued. The Arcturians' crystalline forms dulled with embarrassment, while the Nebulons had condensed themselves into tiny, humble clouds. Ambassador Chen sat at the human delegation's table, calmly sipping what everyone now knew was definitely not just coffee. First Speaker Kex of the Council cleared all four of their throats. In light of recent events, the Council proposes a comprehensive review of our species classification system. "Oh, that won't be necessary," Sarah replied cheerfully. "We're quite comfortable with our current classification. Being underestimated is surprisingly productive." Constructor Prime VAL 389. Their mechanical form still occasionally glitching with quantum cat memes, raised an appendage. "But surely now that your capabilities are known." "Are they?" Sarah interrupted, raising an eyebrow. "Are you sure what you saw was the extent of our capabilities? Are you absolutely certain you want to make that assumption?" Again, the chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't just demonstrated advanced technology. They demonstrated that they were masters at hiding their true capabilities. Everything they thought they knew about human technology might still be just what humanity wanted them to see. The Nebulon Elder pulsed with curiosity. "The coffee cups in our ships, they're still maintaining perfect temperature. Our best scientists can't explain how." "Oh, that's just our basic coffee tech," Sarah waved dismissively. "You should see what we can do with tea. Though we try not to. Last time someone spilled quantum-enhanced Earl Grey, we had to quarantine that sector of space. It kept trying to organize afternoon tea parties with passing asteroids." Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. The consortium fleet, finally freed from its impromptu performance, was experiencing unusual side effects. Their quantum computers had developed a peculiar fondness for Earth's classical music. Their navigation systems would occasionally plot courses in the shape of cat whiskers, and their AI had started requesting comedy classes. But more concerning were the questions being raised in every advanced civilization. If they had been so wrong about humanity, what else had they missed? How many other primitive species were simply choosing not to show their full capabilities? The Arcturian High Seer's crystalline form vibrated with a new frequency of respect. Perhaps we should revisit our approach to interspecies relations." "Wonderful idea," Sarah beamed. "We've actually prepared some suggestions. Yeah. Would you mind sharing our proposal?" Her AI projected a hologram in the center of the chamber. It was a simple document titled "Guidelines for Not Making Anyone Else Reveal Their Hidden Ultra-Tech." The subtitle read, "Because seriously, this paperwork is getting ridiculous." As the council members read through the document, their various expressions of shock, embarrassment, and dawning comprehension created a symphony of alien emotional displays. The guidelines were surprisingly simple, with helpful bullet points like, "If a species keeps politely warning you not to push them, maybe don't push them. Advanced technology doesn't always look advanced. Yes, some species actually like using outdated technology for fun. No, you cannot demand to see everyone's real tech level. Seriously, stop scanning people without permission. The universe has a sense of humor. Respect it." But these guidelines, Constructor Prime VAL 389 began, "are completely optional," Sarah finished. "Just like our previous warnings were optional. Just like sharing our actual technological capabilities is optional. We're simply suggesting that making assumptions about other species might not be the best policy moving forward." The Mechronet representative's logical circuits sparked with sudden understanding. The warnings, they weren't just about your capabilities. They were about your restraint. Finally, Sarah threw up her hands. "Do you have any idea how hard it is to keep playing with quantum physics in secret? Do you know how many times we had to resist the urge to show off? Our scientists have been dying to publish their research on probability manipulation through interpretive dance." The council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. Several representatives were frantically checking their databases, trying to determine if probability manipulation through interpretive dance was a real field of study or just another human joke. The problem was, at this point, it could easily be both. First Speaker Kex raised all their appendages for silence. "The council will need time to process these developments. Perhaps we should establish a committee to. A quantum-entangled paper airplane landed on their podium. The note inside read, "Just remember, the next time you think about demanding to see someone's real technology, ask yourself, do you really want to find out what else we've been politely not showing you? P.S. The coffee maker in your office can probably bend time. We thought it was obvious." The resulting chaos in the council chamber would later be described as the most organized panic in galactic history. It was also noted that coffee consumption across the galaxy dropped by 73%, except among humans who just smiled knowingly into their suspiciously reality-warping beverages. One standard galactic year after the incident that became known as the Great Revelation, or that time humans made us look really silly in less formal circles, the galaxy had changed in ways that no probability matrix could have predicted. The Consortium of Advanced Civilizations had undergone a complete rebranding. They were now known as the Galactic Cooperation Initiative, with their new motto being Progress Through Humility. Their former flagship, Inevitable Progress, had been renamed Maybe We Should Ask First. In her expanded office aboard the Subtle Reminder, Ambassador Sarah Chen was reviewing reports with ARIA when an unusual delegation arrived. The Arcturian High Seer, the Nebulon Elder, and Constructor Prime VAL 389 had come with a rather unique request. "You want us to teach you how to be less advanced?" Sarah asked, making sure she'd heard correctly. "Not less advanced," Constructor Prime VAL 389 clarified, their mechanical form now sporting what appeared to be a self-installed sense of humor module. "More appropriately advanced." The Nebulon Elder swirled thoughtfully. "We've been reviewing our history. Our civilizations became so focused on displaying our technological achievements that we forgot the joy of discovery itself. We kept trying to skip to the end of the book." While you, the Arcturian High Seer, chimed in, their crystalline form resonating with newfound wisdom, "You humans found ways to have fun with your advanced technology. You turned quantum physics into an art form. You made reality laugh with you instead of at you." Sarah smiled, pouring cups of what everyone now knew was quantum-enhanced coffee. The beverages existed in a state of perfect temperature and flavor, though occasionally they would hum harmonies in multiple dimensions. "The funny thing is," she said, "we never actually hid our advanced technology. We just presented it in ways nobody expected. Those primitive chemical rockets we keep around, they're actually contained in sophisticated probability fields that make them work better than they should, just because we think it's fun." But the warnings, Constructor Prime VAL 389 pressed. "Why continue them when you could have simply demonstrated your power?" "Because that's not who we are," Sarah explained. "Humanity learned long ago that the most advanced technology isn't about showing off. It's about making life better, more interesting, and occasionally more amusing. We warned you because we didn't want to embarrass anyone. We genuinely just wanted to be left alone to explore the universe in our own way." The Nebulon Elder condensed thoughtfully. "And now, Sarah grinned, "now we can finally share some of our really interesting discoveries. Did you know you can teach quantum particles to dance? Our physics department has been dying to publish their paper on quantum choreography." Across the galaxy, changes were becoming apparent. The Mechronites had started a tradition of Primitive Technology Appreciation Day, where they would build things without using quantum mechanics, mostly. Their attempts at simple mechanical clocks tended to accidentally create temporal art installations. The Arcturians had begun incorporating humor into their crystalline architecture. Buildings would occasionally tell jokes through quantum resonance, though their punchlines sometimes existed in parallel dimensions. The Nebulons had started experimenting with what they called quantum poetry, verses that existed in multiple states of meaning simultaneously. Critics were unsure whether to praise the poems or question reality itself. Even the galactic bureaucracy had evolved. The infamous form X742 bits alpha had been replaced with a simple guideline: Before demanding to see another species' capabilities, ask yourself, do you really want to know? There is one thing we still don't understand. Constructor Prime VAL 389 admitted. The cats. Why were there so many cats in your quantum demonstrations? Sarah's smile turned mysterious. Who says those were our demonstrations? Maybe the cats have been running things all along. Have you ever tried to understand what a cat is thinking? They naturally exist in a state of quantum superposition, simultaneously wanting to be inside and outside, awake and asleep, demanding attention and ignoring you completely. The delegation stared at her, trying to determine if she was joking. The problem was, after everything they'd learned about humanity, it could very well be true. In the space outside the subtle reminder, a quantum-entangled kitten played with a string made of probability. Reality itself purred contentedly, having finally found species who understood that the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most impressive technology. It's the one wise enough to have fun with it. As the delegation left, Aria's holographic form flickered with amusement. Should we tell them about the dogs? Sarah laughed, taking a sip of her reality-warping coffee. Let's save something for next year's diplomatic summit. After all, the universe loves a good surprise. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, aboard what used to be the mightiest fleet in the galaxy, quantum computers were still trying to calculate the probability of their ship's spontaneous dance performance. The only answer they ever received was a simple message. Some things don't need to be calculated. They just need to be enjoyed. The cats, quantum entangled or otherwise, just kept smiling their enigmatic smiles. But then again, they'd been doing that long before humanity discovered quantum physics. Perhaps they'd known all along that the universe had a sense of humor. They just waited for everyone else to catch up.